Hi everyone! I was posting some photos on my Instagram about my glitter threads, and I was getting a few questions about the kinds of threads I use and where to get them, so I thought it'd be fun to do a mini video. I use Madeira brown threads. They come in so many different lengths, colours and materials. The colours are very bright and advertised as colour fast and heat safe. Once upon a time I used Gutermann. It was what I was recommended when I was looking for my first embroidery machine, so I bought a big box of them, and my machine hated them. They would shred and snap and just act up. They were also the same price at the time as Madeira thread. 1000 meters of Madeira cost the same as 200 of Gutermann. So I took a chance on them and all my machine's issues just stopped, and it was a no-brainer to stick with them. I've been using Madeira for about 6 years. I've been super happy with the price, the range of colours, and the quality of the threads. I usually just use polyneon, but recently I've been getting more into some of their other lines. The first time I tried specialty threads was about 2012. I was making Princess Luna, and I'd gotten some metallics and some glow-in-the-dark threads from my local store, and it was agony. The job eventually got done, but it was not enjoyable. Threads were a nightmare to work with. I can't remember what the brand was, it's been way too long for me to remember the name on the packet, but they were just something that I'd picked up in my craft store. Then, about a year ago, I came across glitter threads in the Madeira section of Plush website, and I thought, it's been a long time. Then I also started thinking about a patch idea and how cool the patch would look if it was glittery, and how much I like Madeira, so I bought one spool. Kind of a, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least I know. The spool was only 200 meters and was about £5, but it worked, it was great, it was amazing. I've always used Plush before for my threads, but with new VAT stuff and I always need more white, I was looking for a supplier in the EU. I think Madeira is a German company, so I was hopeful, but for some reason my first searches never turned anything up. I don't know how I missed it before, but suddenly in my recent searches, Madeira is at the top of the list, with its own outlets and sites in different countries, including my country. I signed up and made an order, and they sent me an email about 10 minutes after I placed it, asking about me, what kind of machines I have, what sort of products do I make, what kind of business am I registered as. So I told them about my embroidery, about the Janomes, the Viking, and they said they'd need to order my colours in. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll wait for a few days. But the very next day my order showed up. And with all my colours, they sent these swatchbooks, tons of swatchbooks. They sent 6 swatchbooks for everything that they do. Polyneon is what I normally use, and there are so many colours. I've started ticking what I already own, so I don't get mixed up. But the books that really interested me were the glitter ones. And I am just in love. And I'm so glad I got these because I was just picking up from online stores whatever colours looked right on the screen, which wasn't always right. For example, I started with this purple, which is kind of tinsely and glittery, and I picked up this white thinking it would be the same, but it's more iridescent than glitter. The texture and the sheen is totally different. So having these charts is great because they have several different collections and they're all different from each other. There's some different weights, so you have some fine threads and then some chunkier ones, different colours. There's different effects, so this set is just standard colours that are glittery, so green thread, green glitter, purple thread, purple glitter. But then they have a multicoloured series, or the opal series, which I love, where the colours all have a green glitter, so colours like orange and purple really pop when they move. So yes, I've been addicted to these books. One of the best parts was that the other stores were only selling these at about 200 meters a roll, but Madeira offers 1000 meters for about the same price, so it works out the same. If you have a Madeira website in your country, I really recommend looking it up. I've been using these bad boys as much as possible lately. I also have some metallic gold for an upcoming commission, and these holographic threads. They're really quite mermaidy. As you can see here, they're not actually woven thread, they're plastic. One of my favourite parts is now being able to get my swatch book, get my fabric swatches, and find the closest match. Let's check out Shannon Cerise. I smooth the fabric out, open the book to pink. These flip up, so I just slide the swatch underneath and take a look. On first glance, 1787 looks okay, maybe? There won't always be a direct match. If you want to go darker, you might try 783. So let's try Shannon Rosewater. So my tip here is, as you can see, the threads are glossy and the minky is very matte. Madeira does do a matte selection of threads, but there's still a different texture to the minky, so they're never going to look quite the same when the light hits them. As the light hits, the thread lights up, and personally I like to go for a slightly darker shade where possible. So let's answer some frequently asked questions. Do they run okay? Yep, they run fine. I have a problem with an aqua spool. It doesn't want to go, it snaps a lot, but it's one out of all the others I have. So I'm inclined to think it's maybe just a bum batch. Do you have to use a special needle? Personally, I've been using the same needles that I use for regular threads, but Madeira does have needle recommendations on the backs of their swatches and on the website for which ones work best for which threads, which is really useful. And I think it's this one, 9012 San 8. This is their specially produced needle for their glitter threads. It has a wider eye than a standard needle because this woven thread feels rougher. It's not as smooth like regular Madeira, so it can catch on smaller eyes. I want to get some of these special needles, but I'm not sure if they fit my machine. It says on the website they're aimed at industrial models, so I'm just going to have to take a punt at some point. Do I put glitter thread in the bottom bobbin? Hell no! No, I don't, no. These are €7 a spool, plus VAT, plus shipping, so I want to eke as much use of them out as I can. So for most glitter embroidery, I just colour match or use regular thread. They can act a bit funny where density is concerned. I recommend upping the density a bit for projects where you're planning to use glitter thread, especially the lighter shades that can look kind of translucent when they start reflecting the fabric colour. You can probably tell actually here that the darker, brighter colours have more of a dramatic glitter effect, but the lighter, more pastel shades are more subtle. It's one of the reasons I like the Opal series because the contrasting tinsel helps set off your effect. The pastel effect is softer, it's there, you can see it, but it's just not as dazzling as these jewel tones. I tried here with this one a lemon shade of yellow instead of the gold I usually use. And you can see it does look a little bit more translucent. The red and orange look amazing, but the pastel yellow really lets this one down. I also don't normally see gaps in my patches, the density is set quite high, so it shows how translucent this yellow is. I definitely recommend maybe a white underlay base and then a high density setting on the yellow itself. I guess another con is that I don't really rate them with satin stitch. It could just be my machine, but I don't think the texture lends well to the usual smooth satin border. It often comes out kind of lumpy. I mostly like to use these for accenting or patches. But again, I still recommend looking at Madeira in your country, seeing if they have an outlet, because these books are insanely good. They have sections to describe each style of thread, what they're best for, and again, the needle type and weight of the particular thread, and really nice big example photos. I also have a metallics book. These are kind of expensive, but really worth it, they're so shiny. Overall, if you couldn't already tell, I really love Madeira threads. I use them for all my work. So if you want to start with maybe a couple basic threads, I really recommend trying the poly neon or the viscose threads. I hope this answered a couple questions on my embroidery thread. If you want to see these kinds of videos a bit sooner or vote on the next subject, come follow me on my Ko-fi or my Patreon. I post all my content there first. My supporters get early access to all my content, even if it's going to be public later. Thanks so much for watching!